I don't judge anyone, but we're not going to go to dinner anymore. Wait, why? Because I have a fucking OnlyFans. No, I think that's pretty cool and entrepreneurial. I'm just not going to spend $200 in 3 hours of my night when I can see you naked for $7 right now.
That's hilarious.
She said that I was the person that got her out of her depression, and then the moment that she realized she had to do that for me, she couldn't, and so she left me.
So that sucks.
That is just heartbreaking.
Exalted and vilified
Yeah.
in society. You know, for
Talk about polarity.
Bonnie Blue is also a very polarizing figure, famous for bedding over 1,000 men in one day. Men, girls trips. Let's not be doing that, because this kind of craziness
No
just
good can come
happens.
from it.
No good comes from that nonsense. So today, we're talking about masculine and feminine polarity. So how we're going to do this is we're going to go ahead and talk about the Proverbs 31 woman as kind of like the archetype for what a Christian woman should be. And then we'll go ahead and find some biblical concepts for what a man should be. And then we're going to have them fight it out. And by that, I mean, we're just going to talk about the differences. So,
A Venn diagram cage match.
Venn diagram cage match. Sure. I mean, that could be a thing. There isn't a whole lot of overlap, though. That's the deal. So it's just two circles, and they're just going to be like bashing into each other.
Like hamsters.
Yeah, we just go and get our own hamster balls, and then we just go ahead and like rush at each other and then have fun doing it. That sounds good.
Oh my God. Sorry.
There you go.
Intrusive thoughts, they're intrusive.
Hey, man, we'll just use it. So the format's going to be a little bit different today. We're trying something new for our second season. So what we're going to do is to start off, we'll just kind of introduce the topic like we have, and then go through 3 videos that we'll react to that may or may not be loosely attached to the content at large. And then we'll get to a compare and contrast for today. So without further ado, let's get started.
Buckle up.
Buckle up, Buttercup. All right. You ready to go ahead and react to this? This is a video of Andrew Tate and Bonnie Blue.
Oh, everybody's favorite, like, machismo man.
Yeah, he's like both exalted and vilified
Yeah.
in society. You know, for
Talk about polarity.
so much polarity
Very
just in one character.
polarizing.
Speaking of which, the counterpart, you know, Bonnie Blue is also a very polarizing figure because she's recently been famous for bedding over 1,000 men in one day. That's kind of like the current claim to fame. Yeah. I figure with these two polarizing perspectives that we might come up with some interesting things to talk about.
Hamster balls.
You ready? Let's go.
Andrew, what do you think of Bonnie Blue sleeping with 1,057 men?
How honest should I be out of 10?
11.
I want you to be honest.
You want me to be honest? Honest.
Yeah, go on.
I don't understand why men sit here and try and lecture you about it. I don't understand why men sit here and say you shouldn't do it. It's
Yeah.
your body, your choice, right? This is the world we now live in. This is the end result of feminism. You are the perfect end result of feminism.
What do you think about that?
This is what you hath wrought. Like,
Yeah, it's like, look, you went ahead and did the thing, and people wanted all of these freedoms and all of this being unloosed and unmoored from morality. This is the net result of it.
and it's funny because they were like almost baiting him, expecting him to just go off
Well,
about
sure.
it. And he's like, I don't care.
Well, it's really funny because he asks, how honest do you want me to be about this? Because it's like, we know that there's a range of opinion that you can get from one character
Yeah.
based on what the specific question you ask them.
And you get not giving him enough time at this point to read the room.
Sure. I mean, he knows what's going
Just
on.
thunking him down in the deep end.
All right.
In the world I believe in the conservative, traditionally masculinely ruled world, a man would be in charge of his daughters until they're handed over to their husbands or boyfriends, and there would be a degree of masculine guidance. But feminism didn't want that. You know, women complain that men don't want to get married. We did actually want to get married when we got obedient virgins, but they disappeared, and they complained about the patriarchy, and they were tired of us giving them a house to live in and kids to raise, and they wanted to make their own choices. So she's making her own choice.
Okay. So,
He was already making the concession with boyfriend.
yeah, no, to me, that's crazy. Like, I'm not handing my daughters off to a boyfriend. If he's going to go ahead and make the commitment, put the ring on her finger, and go ahead and say the vows before God and everybody else that's in attendance, that's the line, right? If he's not going to go ahead and declare himself that he is going to commit to her and do the thing, why in the world would I hand over my daughters to a man that is unwilling to do that?
Because we've said time and time again, it's like, why would you want to change that? Once you set that as the status quo, why would you want to change it? Why?
Well, I mean, shoot, for them, it's because they reject patriarchal authority.
Well, because they get like the boyfriend.
Oh, the boyfriend. Okay.
He gets all of the benefits of everything and doesn't have to do the extra step.
Oh, you mean he gets the milk for free? So why buy
would
the
you
cow?
buy the cow? Yeah. Yes, but like, if you like hand that over, you're saying you're okay with that. It's like
You're
I'm not.
agreeing with that
I'm
that
not.
arrangement.
And it's interesting because I was like, I think that's the concession that he's making here.
Oh, to go ahead and appear a little bit
Yeah, a
more
little bit more
moderate?
progressive. I think there's no way in hell he'd ever do that.
Sure. So you think that's just words. You don't think he actually means that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's him trying to like take a step forward into, the discussion.
Okay.
And into the climate.
Makes sense.
Fantastic thing. I actually have a lot of respect for you because you own it and you're honest about it.
What if it was your daughter?
That won't happen.
But she's her own person.
I never said my daughter's her own person. I said
Are you
women
gonna
want to
be
be
a-
their own people. But my point is, there's so many women who go to Magaluf for a weekend and do something very similar, and then they come back to England and get with some f***ing guy and start asking for presents from him and talking about how they deserve a traditional relationship and they want to get married and they want a Christmas present and all this bullshit. Most women do exactly what Bonnie does. I don't see you any different than most women. And I'm not saying that in a degrading way.
Most women don't sleep with 1,057 men in a day.
1,000 doesn't fucking matter.
I think it does.
I don't really think it does.
So there's
it's all
no-
disgusting to me. If I met a woman and she said, I just sucked a dick yesterday, I'd say, well, I find you repulsive. I don't want to sleep with you. Goodbye.
What, so you're only going after virgins?
Well, it's not about only going after virgins, but I think if you're a straight man, the idea of having a bunch of men, a woman that you're with, is pretty repulsive.
But everyone has a past.
But see,
When
this
you
is the
feel
kind
you
of
got
shit people say.
experience.
I don't know what's wrong with you people. Everyone has a past. That's not acceptable. In fact, let's analyze that. Everyone has a past. You're right. Everyone does have a past. It's true. But isn't the primary objective of a man to find a woman with as little past as possible? Would you argue that?
There's a lot there.
He's like, I don't care if it's 1,000 or like 20. That's still gross,
Sure.
The standard is the standard, no matter what.
Because once you deviate from the standard, then like, what's even the point?
Especially, he's like, I just had one yesterday, and it's like, that's gross, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's okay because I'm still under like whatever standard, 5, 10, it doesn't matter.
Whatever
Like,
arbitrary standard they come up with for themselves. Sure.
you're still essentially, and especially with the amount of time, you're still sloppy seconds. Like, that's all I could stop. That was the only hamster in the ball up here. It was like, gross.
But I mean, it's interesting that she goes ahead and talks about, oh, well, you only go after virgins. Well, it's like, well, no, but there's the idea that to let it be so freely given, there is a natural disgust that men feel towards that.
To the standard.
Right, because we understand what inherently our standard is. And then when the society goes ahead and fights against it with every fiber of its being, there's conflict there.
People love to snowflake out. So let's snowflake out a little bit in our favor. Let's say that, this poor girl in let's just give it some distance, in the Middle Ages was given over to this, other lord or whatever when they were 9, or
Okay.
something gross,
Whoa,
right?
okay.
Okay.
Hold up.
right? So then
Not
this-
in modern times
to-
at all. Not to be
Exactly.
confused.
I'm just trying to give it the extreme.
Okay, cool.
Okay, You're getting
weird on this
yes,
one.
I am getting weird because they love to snowflake out on these kind of
cool.
anecdotal stories.
Yeah.
So it's to a guy that was 60,
Oh, geez.
So in the course of the whatever, she's had a lot of guys because she was married off to a lot of dudes.
Oh,
Who
because,
died?
Because they die, and then she'd have to
Right?
get married off to the next
So her
one.
body count is high, but the standard under which she got with other guys is different
Sure.
than this, rather than some chick who's been with like 5 or 10 whatever, but it was because we were gonna be in a romantic relationship, we had just moved in together,
Okay.
but they knew each other maybe like 6 months.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Like the standards under
different.
which these things happen.
Well, shoot, even that standard that you just put out there where it's like, oh, they're moving in and it's been 6 months. Like even
That's gross.
Well, right. But that would be considered a puritanical standard for a lot of people nowadays.
That is the thing. And that's the point. Like,
Right.
that is even, well, we thought we were going to get married. Oh, well, we got engaged, so we moved in together.
So here's the thing. So from a masculine perspective, yes, that doesn't meet the threshold for the standard. However, that is at least substantially less repulsive than, oh, I just hooked up with a guy that I got drunk with. And like that being the story 5 or 10 times.
He was hot. She was drunk.
Yeah, that was disgusting. But that's what happens in modern society so much. And it is like the accepted norm that dudes should just go ahead and put up with that. And that's crazy to me.
That's one of the precursors to finding a wife.
Depends
Considering that wives were supposed to be virgins, this was the deal. The reason I'm proud of Bonnie, and I am genuinely proud of you, I like Bonnie. I like what she's doing. Because the deal was...
Are you not contradicting yourself here?
In what way?
You're proud of her sleeping with 1,057 guys, but women should be virgins.
No, I'm saying that the social contract, the construct of society that made family function, was women were obedient virgins and they found a man who provided for them and they listened to that man. Women have then said, we don't like the patriarchy. We're tired of being provided for. We're tired of being taken care of. We don't want to listen to anybody. We want to make our own decisions. That was women and feminism that ended the traditional family unit. And now women can make their own decisions. So I'm glad that Bonnie's making her own decision.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not here to
people
tell you not to do
say
it.
I take women back 100 years. I'm like,
All right. So a couple things there is the host was trying to go ahead and catch him in on some kind of hypocrisy as if there's a difference in standard, but he's expressing two separate standards, right? There's the modern standard of, oh, just do whatever you want because screw the patriarchy. And he is proud that she's at least like living out the logical extension of what that would be is, hey, just pay for play. And that's, you may as well, because that's, you should just commodify your beauty and whatever to get the bag.
Yeah.
Whereas he's simultaneously expressing that is not his standard because he still believes in a patriarchy where the idea is to go ahead and have virgin brides that are obedient and the old social contract.
It's funny when you attempt to have a discussion with the progressive, side of the culture, people who subscribe to that, for more conservative, traditional people to go into their realm and then discuss it by their rules. But when we try to, when traditional people try and discuss with reciprocity, you try and bring them over here, they can't even fathom it. Like they can't even gauge that. And so they're still talking about the standards in their bubble. Well, they cannot cross over.
Because they can't see things from another perspective a lot of times. And I think it's interesting when you talk about debate or discussion, a lot of times people have a really hard time entertaining hypotheticals and engaging with them in good faith. And they also have a difficult time with understanding the difference between talking about what is and what ought. And thirdly, people have a really hard time with this idea of an internal critique, where you go ahead and look at a worldview and you critique things within its own context, as opposed to bringing stuff out from outside
to bear on that
and pushing it onto that context, which I think that progressives have a really hard time doing, because if you go ahead and look at progressives nowadays, they have a much more narrow and fixed orthodoxy that if they don't go ahead and fit into that small acceptable level of opinion, they get cast out and they get the hate mob after them. Whereas when you're more right of center, there is a huge diversity of acceptable thoughts and beliefs. And yeah, you're going to have infighting. But the thing is, you at least have a free and open exchange of ideas, where people are willing to go ahead and understand and engage on different levels.
And I think that's where we get most of the angry people on the internet just going, blah, 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 you're terrible, blah, blah, blah. They can't even consider a different worldview, like on
Sure.
its own, without bringing their worldview to bear on it. Mainly because they just the thought of another worldview or just considering another worldview, it triggers them.
Yeah, it reminds me of Malcolm and Simone Collins, where they talk about an urban monoculture a lot, where the left is really locked in on one series of beliefs. And if you are outside of that orthodoxy, they just attack you like crazy, because if you are not within this thing, you don't belong.
But what's interesting also is so is the far right. But
I
they
don't
are
see
not
that
as
as
loud.
much.
They
I
are
don't see
not
that
as
as
loud.
much on the far right.
No, but the far right, I'm saying,
Okay, what do you use as an example for that?
like the whole stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason, right?
Okay.
So the whole MAGA Trumper flags flying from the back of your truck bed, like they get, this is the hill they will die on. That kind of thing.
So you don't think that that the MAGA types are really entertaining different things within their thought bubbles?
No, I think a lot of them are just like people on the far left, where they just want to toe this line because they want something that will free them from what is.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. I just think that in terms of proportion, I don't see it anywhere near the same.
Of course, I would never dare to argue that in terms of proportions that happens.
Okay.
I'm just saying that there is those extreme
Well, there's an
sides.
exception to every rule.
Exactly, but
Right.
like just like I talked to some rando on the internet about like socialism and fascism. Like
Yeah,
sometimes
it's circle theory instead of being on a
that's-
straight line.
This is exactly what I'm trying to say. Obviously, this side of the circle is a little bit thinner than this side.
Sure. But in terms of policy prescriptions, you wouldn't see them agreeing on much of anything.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Because
It's
they're
just-
not really opposites
I'm
in a lot of
saying
ways.
their commitment to sparkle motion.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But whether or not they actually can produce a coherent like argument for their side.
I think it is very difficult for them to go ahead and produce something that is unassailable and can survive substantial scrutiny. Because I think for the most part, people adopt worldviews from other people rather than having one built from the ground up.
Yeah. I'm mainly saying that this sphere of debate, discussion, back and forth, the both opposite sides, I just want you to commit to the bit, man, but for a reason, not because you've been told to.
Okay, so you're saying that you would encourage people to own their ideology and
Yeah.
know why it is that they believe what they believe,
'Cause
regardless of what it is.
Yeah, because I've
Okay.
gone around and around with randos on the internet, and I have both been called a
leftist or
yeah, like a Trumper bigot and a lefty, nut.
Well, because people don't have the ability to do independent thought a lot of times.
That's it. That all I'm doing is all I had done is challenge their thought process.
Sure, and whether it's internal critique or
Yeah, whether I believe it or not, actually.
yeah, sometimes you play the devil's advocate and then you just play it a little too well and then they get upset.
Well, like I just play it a little too technically, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're a jerk." That's it.
That's just people on the internet.
They take their ball and leave the playground.
All right, let's see what Bonnie has to say.
Clear example of how to be empowered. I use my body. I do what I want when I want. And this is the thing you've been banging on about for years. And when I get hate, like when I click on the comments of these women that are like, oh, you're taking us back 100 years. Then in their bio, it says stay-at-home mom of two. I'm thinking, what was you rooting for? Because you have just stayed
That's
at
right,
home.
Bonnie. See, this is the future.
Yeah.
This is the future. This is fantastic. It's exactly what Western society is headed to. So why are we going to sit here and pretend this is not? Why are we going to sit here and pretend that most women who go on girls' holidays aren't doing something similar to what Bonnie does just because it's not on camera? Why are we going to sit here and pretend that these men who walk around with their wives in the pub in England, they're like, oh, my wife, yeah, everyone has a past. Oh, no, she's done the same shit. What's the difference? Who gives a f-? We're either going to care and accept that women are judged on their past and judged on their innocence and judged on their naivety and judged on these things like it used to be. Or we're going to sit and say it doesn't matter, everyone has a past. Well, if everyone has a past, everyone has a past. Who gives a f? Does it really matter anymore?
All right. So there's a couple things there. Women going ahead and saying that she brings our women back 100 years.
Women are shaming her for her body and her choice.
That, and they're shaming her for exercising the very things that they would encourage that she should be free to do in the first place.
So they're like, you're taking us back 100 years. I'm like, if you take your rhetoric to the farthest logical conclusion, she's actually taking you into the future at warp speed.
Right?
This is where this is headed. Like, and people just don't seem to understand. They just want to get mad. Well, you don't need to do it like that. Well, she's doing what you purport is what she should be doing.
Yeah, but she's giving away the game. That's the problem, is she is putting out in front of everybody what the game is, whereas they want to go ahead and be sneaky about it, like Andrew was talking about, how, they're going to go on girls' holidays or girls' trips. This is why men, girls' trips, let's not be doing that, because this kind of craziness just happens. From it. No good comes from that nonsense. But yeah, it's the craziest thing. And then you talk about, well, either the past matters or it doesn't. And from a man's perspective, I care about a woman's past, just like, generally speaking, a woman cares about a man's future. Right? We are not the same, and so we don't look at things the same. And that's just what it is. But a lot of people would go ahead and shame my perspective to protect their past because deep down inside, they know it is shameful and they do not want to take accountability for it.
Talk about selfish.
Right?
Shame somebody else to hide their own poo-poo.
Well, I mean, it's projection at its best, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and say that...
on steroids, man.
I'm going to say that you're a jerk because I did dumb things in my past. Whereas, like, from a man's perspective, if I've done dumb things in the past, most men who have done that, that is a trampoline to their future. Because a lot of times, guys get to be the strong, independent thinkers that they end up being, if they ever get there, through the pain and the travail that they dealt with in their past.
Trying stuff. Trying to do stuff.
Trying stuff, or like they have a center motivation that it's propelling them. Like for me, like when I was a kid and when I was young, it was I didn't want to be my dad. And that was the core motivating factor. And it wasn't until later on in life that I took the time to understand that there is nuance there and that there were good things about my father that were worthy of honor and emulation, but recognize that my future didn't need to be poisoned by that disdain.
I think that's where you started to really pick up on the generational progression of doing better than your parents and us having children to do better than we did and stuff like that. So I think it's commendable. That's like you wanted to move the needle.
When your date has OnlyFans, I just did it for some extra money during quarantine. It took off, so I do it here and there. It's not porn. It's just fun. Don't judge me. I don't judge anyone, but we're not going to go to dinner anymore. Wait, why? Because I have a fucking OnlyFans? No, I think that's pretty cool and entrepreneurial. I'm just not going to spend $200 in 3 hours of my night when I can see you naked for $7 right now.
That's hilarious. Talk about standards, though, right?
Oh my God, you dick.
Yeah. So the guy is just expressing a boundary. It's like, yeah, we ain't going out. Good on her for going ahead and putting it out there. But here's the thing. If you do the crime, chances are you're doing the time.
Somebody's living her truth.
Right?
She knows what she wants and she getting after it.
Right.
He know what he want and he getting after it, but he's a dick.
Yeah, nah. Well, but the thing is, like,
makes sense.
She's trying to go ahead and get her bag, and she doesn't want to deal with the consequences associated with the fast money comes with slow problems. This is one of them slow problems is, hey, if this stuff is out there, you're going to have issues in the dating market.
And, like, that's why teachers can't start OnlyFans.
That's why they're getting fired left and right for doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can go ahead and do that, but you can't just hold on to both vines at the same time. You got to let go.
Yeah.
So I think it's hilarious that the dude was like, yeah, why would I take you out to a fancy dinner if I can just go ahead and see what I want to see for $7? Priceless. That's pretty good.
It was hilarious.
What is the most painful thing anyone has ever said to you?
It was definitely what my ex said after we had our closure moment. She said that I was the person that got her out of her depression and got her outside. And then the moment that she realized she had to do that for me, she couldn't, and so she left me.
This is just another example of how a man will give within a relationship, but the minute that he can't give as much, that woman that he gave so much to is all of a sudden unhappy and ends the relationship. And then you wonder why men feel like they are only loved for what they can provide.
All right. So that sucks.
That is just heartbreaking.
So step one, closure moment.
By the way, I love Emily King. I love her. She's amazing.
Yeah. She recently got married, right?
Yes, she did.
Good for her.
We were all waiting for her to do one of her little wedding-ish clips and slide into the mirror like she does.
Nice.
But she did it, and I was like,
Womp womp. Missed opportunity.
I know.
Right?
Everyone's like, missed opportunity. It's okay, though.
But anyhow.
Wish her all the best.
So closure moment. Like, why bother do this?
Yeah, well, you can tell he's a little bit more on the sensitive side. Poor, sweet summer child.
That's probably why he got broken up with.
Yeah, honestly, it's just you want to cuddle him like a Cocker Spaniel or a cat, and you're like, oh, sweetie.
Sure. But it's just one of those things where women want vulnerability, they say, until it's on their doorstep.
Women want the support. Why can't you support me? Why can't you take care of me? And all this, and this is where the discussion about mental load comes from and default parenting.
Okay.
But precisely when reciprocity is needed from this sensitive, loyal, what do they call them? Golden retriever men. They put them on pedestals. Look at me. Look at, I love him. And then, but when he needs something, when you need to take him to the vet, you take him out back instead.
Yeah. What kind of craziness is that? Let's go ahead and old yeller this relationship because I can't bother to put in the effort that he has given to me. Don't get me wrong. The guy did not have frame. He didn't have a lot of things going for him. So chances are those are the things that he got broken up with for. But the thing is, this is an exact example of being that kind of blue-pilled guy is a terrible place to be. And which is why we encourage you guys to not be that guy.
It's just when you say you want a thing and then you get that thing and then you no longer want that thing, but you don't know what else you want. Well, ladies, what? Seriously, what? What more do you want? But then, all these men who are doing things, getting things, going after it. And no, they're douchebags. They're jerks. They're probably gay.
This is the difference between what women say they want and what they actually respond to, which is why we go ahead and say, don't pay attention to what she says. Pay attention to what and who she does. There it is.
Especially if you are on the more golden retriever side. There is honestly nothing wrong with that. It's a spectrum. It takes all kinds. But still, if you are in a relationship where he's just kind of getting comfortable and maybe you think she's kind of wandering elsewhere or her eyes are at least wandering elsewhere, start to make moves and see how she moves.
Yeah.
Seriously, the Rolla said that. It was just make a move. Start doing stuff. See what she does about it.
Yeah, be a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah.
And there you go. Because then the hamster will go ahead and get in the wheel and do all kinds of things and come up with stuff. And if you're the kind of guy that she actually wants, then she'll chase you again.
Dude, next time I got to do the one with the girl saying that to her man that a dude is hot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you.
Because that is just along the line of this.
Cool. Let's go ahead and get into the main body of the content.
Well, the main takeaway from all of these holistically
okay.
is if this is your perspective, Walk entirely in that. Don't whiffle waffle. Don't wishy washy. Don't go, oh, some of this. No. Commit to it then.
Right. But the problem is if they go ahead and commit, that they have consequences that come with it. And a lot of times they don't want to absorb the consequences that come from their actions. And so to commit means that in the back of their mind, they acknowledge that consequences exist for those actions, and they want other people to disregard it. All right. So, yeah, that was a pretty good take for what the deal is and a lot of different perspectives to consider. So let's go ahead and talk about masculine and feminine polarity. But in order to do that, we need to go ahead and get an idea for men's and women's roles. We'll start with the women. And in order to do that, we'll go ahead and read Proverbs 31, verses 10 to 31, which is a really nice, succinct way of laying it out there what an ideal Christian woman should be. Right? Obviously, this was written before Jesus was a thing, but there's lots of messages that we can go ahead and take for today. And even if you're not a Christian, like, you can just look at the Bible as an ancient book of wisdom. Because
BT dubs, this is written by a mother to the man who probably had the most game ever.
Sure. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Proverbs 31, verse 10. Who can find a wife of noble character? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will not lack anything good. She rewards him with good, not evil, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from far away. She rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and portions for her female servants. She evaluates a field and buys it. She plants a vineyard with her earnings. She draws on her strength and reveals that her arms are strong. She sees that her profits are good, and her lamp never goes out at night. She extends her hands to the spinning staff, and her hands hold the spindle. Her hands reach out to the poor, and she extends her hands to the needy. She is not afraid for her household when it snows, for all in her household are doubly clothed. She makes her own bed coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known at the city gates, where he sits among the elders of the land. She makes and sells linen garments. She delivers belts to the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she can laugh at the time to come. Her mouth speaks wisdom, and loving instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the activities of her household and is never idle. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also praises her. Many women have done noble deeds, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised. Give her the reward of her labor, and let her works praise her at the city gates. And there is a lot in there. But one thing that I think is really important is that a lot of times people go ahead and make out that she doesn't do work. And I think that is incompatible with what we read there. She's strong, she is capable, she does things, she can go ahead and handle business transactions, she knows how to go ahead and buy land, and clearly her husband is doing things to be respectable and to earn his place among the elders. So before we go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty, what are some of your initial takeaways from that?
Obviously, this is an ideal. Clearly, nobody's going to have all the boxes checked. So as far as there are examples of things, and you can surmise the characteristics that would elucidate that result.
Okay. Can you give me an example of what you're saying?
Like her industry, her abilities to plan ahead, to provide for when climate change, when seasons change, when, you know, there might be something else that's needed so that she can always stay ahead of the game.
So what you're saying is that a lot of these end results imply action that was taken beforehand. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and break down. There's 5 kind of like key areas that are put out here. One is her value, more than rubies, and her husband trusts her fully, are like two keystone values there. Is that she's got the freedom to act within the frame that he has provided for her, and going back to frame and having boundaries and all of that. And she's got all kinds of freedom to do the wonderful things that are within her task load. What do you think about that?
It's interesting that we're talking about the most traditional of women, pretty much. Mm-hmm. A lot of modern society will look at this going, you can't do all of that. Well, no, duh. It's not a real person. But you can agree to work together with a man for the benefit of your household, for the benefit of your community, with agreed upon left and right boundaries. I don't see how people say, oh, well, you're being run over and you're being suppressed. You're being
oppressed by the patriarchy.
Yeah, you're being enslaved to do all this stuff. She does a lot of stuff that's different. You know?
Sure. And some people would go ahead and have the critique that she has servants. Okay, whatever. You can tell that they are higher up in the hierarchy.
Yeah, one, you can tell this is an affluent family. Two, guess what? Everybody usually nowadays has servants.
We just don't call them that.
I call them a washer and dryer. I call them a dishwasher. I call them Walmart grocery pickup.
Well, sure. But I think to that point, a lot of the conveniences that were formerly only enjoyed by the aristocracy have been democratized so that the common man can enjoy it. I'll give you a prime example. Uber.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you'd have to pay for a driver, pay for a car to have that private service. But now we have ride sharing as a common thing that we see in society. So yeah, we have servants. We just go ahead and pay them appropriately to handle their thing. Whereas back in the day, part of the thing was room and board and taking care of their needs. As you can see, the woman in this example, she goes ahead and prepares their food and takes care of them and makes sure that they have the things that they need in order to serve the household properly.
Go buy detergent.
Go buy detergent. Okay. Yeah.
Feed your serving girls. Go buy detergent.
So the second piece is her diligence and industry. So she works with her hands. She provides food and clothing. She goes ahead and looks at the business dealings, and she goes ahead and even buys land. This woman is a capable woman. And the thing is, the length and breadth of someone's capability is not the only thing that you can judge them by. You judge them primarily by their character. And if you have needs in your household and she can provide an answer to those needs in a complementary fashion, you can tell that you're well suited. And if not, if she is open to the possibility of learning how to go ahead and serve this need, huge green flag from my perspective. What do you think about that?
Definitely, industry is very prominent here. Mm-hmm. Like you can tell she's not just, like you said, and like if there's a need in the household, if there's a need of something or other, she doesn't go, that's cool, and just sits on the couch popping bonbons, right?
And watching TikTok.
All right?
Yeah.
If you have a woman who's going to see a need in her house or in her community later on and find a solution to it, that is right there.
That's praiseworthy.
What we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like we're not sitting here. And it's funny talking about the videos previously, how selfish these other like modern women are. Like what are you going to do for me?
Well, it's a stark contrast on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than, wow, you've brought so much, obviously in society, in biblical times, a man is the one who raises the station of the family.
Correct.
So in return, she wants to match that energy rather than just sitting there going, you need to buy me things. You need to do this for me. Still, she's like, he's up here. I'm going to join and get on board, and we're going to partner together
And create an empire. Yeah.
For the benefit of their own family, but also for the benefit of their community.
Yeah,
They're
and all the
both
servants
in
that are
community service.
and all the servants that are in their household live a better life than they would have otherwise. There's a lot of tangential benefits that come from this arrangement. And this woman is not saying that she is the table. She's got a lot to bring to the table. So the next piece is her care
She
for
set the table.
Sure. You know, we talked a little bit about her care for the household and others. You know, she's welcome to, or she sees needs in the community and she goes to meet them. You went ahead and talked about that a little bit. She has her own strength and wisdom. She has thought through things. She can go ahead and provide a perspective that is valuable to him.
And I think this is a woman who is in the business of like personal development.
Yeah.
How can
she
I
works
get
on
better
herself.
at things? How can I do better with this or that, the other, whatever? You can't just go out and feel, seems good, let's do it. You have to know what you're looking at, what you're looking for. You know, you have to learn things.
Well, and it's a pretty stark contrast to women in the modern age where they say, take me how I am. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best, is a common trope that you hear a lot.
Well, and I got 15 million, degrees, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean you're actually educated and actually teachable.
Yeah, being coachable is a huge green flag for women, generally speaking. I think that if you have a good attitude and you're coachable, like that makes up for a lot of things. The next piece and the last piece really is her reward and her legacy. You know, she watches over her household and she's not idle. Her children go ahead and heap praise on her. Her husband heaps praise on her. And she has lasting value beyond her beauty.
And even beyond her childbearing.
Correct.
It's so interesting how the biggest gripe that modern women have against especially biblical tradition in general is, oh, we're just being suppressed and we're just made to be baby
Broodmares.
machines.
Yeah.
You know, well, that song, oh my gosh. And that is clearly not the case here.
Sure, but the thing is, they don't want to work this hard to earn it. That's the thing, is like they're perfectly happy to ride on the coattails of their beauty so long as that lasts, and then they get upset when it doesn't work anymore. And they have to go ahead and wake up and smell the roses and see that they actually have to work for a living at some
It's just
point.
like a toddler, man. They'll just do the same thing until it doesn't work anymore, and then they'll throw a fit.
Sure. So we went ahead and went through the Proverbs 31 woman as a basis for comparison to biblical expectations of men. So I think that the big thing, foundationally speaking, is that men are created in God's image and that they are entrusted with headship and stewardship. Pretty straightforward concept, right? The man is the head of the household and that he has a responsibility to lead. The way that I go ahead and express this in a video that's coming out in a couple of weeks is that a man has a job to do, a will to obey, and a woman to love. And those are the three like fundamental cornerstones of what makes up a biblical man from the context of if you look at the Bible as a whole. It doesn't disregard like men in ministry that choose to be celibate and stuff like that. They have a different woman to love in that case. But the first two completely stand. The core roles that we have as a guy, though, is to provide and protect and to lead. And these are things that have been the case in time since time immemorial. And it's the reason why the patriarchy was a thing to begin with, is that we knew that we were responsible for these things and that without us doing the things, we would not have a society. And we see this in our everyday life with how men are entrusted and generally bear the load of maintaining and establishing infrastructure for our society.
You see the individuals who go nowhere are the men who don't want to lead and the women who don't want to be led.
Yes, on both sides of the equation. You're
That's
absolutely right. Yeah.
Both of them. It takes both.
And not to say that there's not a place for knights in our society and that we only need to have kings. There's a difference between being a king and being a knight, and being a good follower is essential to being a good leader, I would say. Is you need to be able to go ahead and see the will that is before you to follow that lead, even if you're the king.
Well, that is why the progression is what it is. That is a natural progression where you are a page and a squire and then a knight.
And then you can rise depending on what your station is.
Yep.
That makes sense.
You have to learn how to be led before you can lead, which is also a thing where there's less and less men around to teach the next generation how to be led and in turn how to lead.
So going back to core roles, so we've got leadership, protection, provision, and priest are the big things to go ahead and do. Is in the provider role, you got to make sure that your family's taken care of and that your family's emotional needs are taken care of for the most part. As a servant leader, is just being willing to lay yourself down in the event that the need arises. But I still think that it's important for men to see themselves as their mental point of origin, for them to go ahead and see the vision before them and to attack it so that everybody else can be well taken care of. It's kind of like on the airplane with the oxygen mask, is putting your own oxygen mask on first so that you can go ahead and care for others.
Or the female adage, like, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Correct. And then, so we talked about provisioning, protecting. Hey, look, if somebody comes in to disturb the peace, it's up to us to go ahead and tackle that head on. And to go ahead and like it's not even just like about violence. It's about the everyday life, right? When we go together somewhere, is making sure the door is open for you so you have an easy way. If there's a crowded area, is walking in front of you so that I can create a funnel for you to walk in behind me. These kinds of things are emblematic of what protection is to a woman.
That's just so funny when our older kids, they were like, dude, if anybody walked in here, I'd be so sad for them because they're gonna run across my dad and that's the last thing they see.
Yeah. Let's hope that doesn't happen for their sake.
Yeah, it was just funny. But also I want to kind of tell on our son that, you know, in the last year, he's kind of taken that on.
Sure.
Especially since, you know, the puberty tree came for him.
Yeah.
And now he's like almost as tall as I am. Where, you know, even when there was like some sketchy guy in the background over here, and I'm trying to get all of them into the like library or wherever we were going ahead of time. And he's sitting out there. I'm like, just go take the children, go take the little ones and just go because I'm fine. Because I never, you know, I sometimes forget that I'm 6'1" and nobody wants to mess with this, you know,
Sure.
from looks. Like, they don't know
Yeah.
that I'm like a squishy mellow marshmallow. But anyway, it was just interesting how he was just like, no, come on, let's go. And he was like mouthing something. I was like, what? He's like, there was a guy over there. I needed to make sure you were here for. He didn't even say that. He just said, there was a guy over there. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's why you. And then I realized it. I was like,
He's watching out for you.
he's protecting his mama.
Yeah. Because his sister had the other kids.
To let him. And it was just like, at that moment, it was just like, oh my God, I'm so proud.
Right. Because he was doing the thing that he had been brought up to do because he has seen it as an example in front of him.
It wasn't ever anything that was like verbally communicated between you two. It's just something you modeled and he follows now because he's big enough to do it now.
Sure. Because now he is able to step into that role from time to time when the need arises. And like that is definitely to his credit that he is seeing opportunities to assert himself as he grows into maturity. Let's see. And then priest of the home. Hey, look, I know that I'm responsible for the spiritual upbringing of the kids. And though you go ahead and do a lot of it, now I'm participating more as there is a need for the cognitive development and a need for the encapsulation of ideals and to discuss items and issues of importance with them so that they can go ahead and have a good idea from first principles why they believe what they believe and for them to come up with it on their own, right? And to help guide them in that process. Because far too many people get cast out to the wolves when they get to be 18 and then they just get guided by the winds of change. And today that's more or less the urban monoculture It's like, oh, let's just cast them to the urban monoculture. That, I'm sure they'll be just fine.
And even if a godly family will go to church, I've seen a lot of it where they just kind of throw them into their Sunday school classes, go teach them. It's like, no. This is a supplement and to participate in a community of faith. But it is on the individual parents and families to see to spiritual instruction within the home.
Well, it kind of reminds me of a lot of complaints from teachers about parents in the public school environment. Is a lot of parents, they don't want to be engaged or involved, and they're just like, oh, you're paid to be a teacher. Why don't you go ahead and teach my kid? And it's like, okay, yes, and you have responsibilities to go ahead and see to it that your child is well developed. And do you really want to trust somebody else to do that on your behalf?
Yeah. Why would you trust somebody else to raise your kid? Like be the primary source. Why would you do that? Maybe I'm just selfish.
No, but the thing is, you're providing a service to them, right? And at the same time, a lot of people do not have the means to do that differently.
Well, no, I'm not.
But that's not even
anybody. Yeah,
that's not even the thing at issue. The thing at issue is involvement. Even if you go ahead and have them go to the public school system, if you are not involved, you're basically putting them out to the wolves.
Honestly, a lot of people that when I let them know I home educate, they sit there and go, I could never do that. And I honestly tell them back, I could never do what you do. Honestly, mostly because I don't want to wake up that early and sit in a car line and go all the way and then have to fight the, admins and, figure out, communicate with the teacher what happened for the last, 10 hours of the day.
I think you're giving them way too much credit.
It's a lot. No, it's a lot to keep up with if you're going to actually be a parent.
If you're going to engage, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a disengaged parent, it is like the laziest thing ever. You can just go ahead and say, okay, cool, hop on the bus over here. You do the thing.
And that's how we get a bunch of disengaged parents is because of that. Like,
I think it's a chicken and the egg thing. I think the parents being disengaged is the primary problem. And the lazy way that they conduct themselves is the result of that disengagement.
And by extension, a lot of people who disparage home education are sitting there going, well, you can just sit there and not teach them anything and say you're homeschooling. It's like,
in theory, you could.
You could, and there are some bad apples that spoil the bunch. But honestly, most homeschool, if you want to go do some recon about that, if you want to be all like, oh my God, just be a fly on the wall in a homeschool group. I just started this. What do I do? What do I buy? What do you guys work on? I'm struggling with this. There is all of that. We are some type A kind of parents that are just like, pretty much every step and every decision we're going, am I screwing this up?
Sure. But on the flip side, if you go ahead and put the onus on them to go ahead and justify their position, they go ahead and keep begging for more and more money. And they have no increase in appreciable outcomes whatsoever as a result of that extra money that's constantly being poured into it. We spend more on public education on a per pupil basis in the United States than any other country in the first world. And we have terrible results. Mm-hmm. Like you go to any of the inner cities, Chicago, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and where we're spending crazy amounts per pupil. And we've got like more than half of the graduating class can't read or can't operate math on a third grade level. That's insane. And then you want to go ahead and nitpick on homeschoolers. It's like, okay, how about you go ahead and take the log out of your own eye before you start coming after the speck in my eye? But
yeah, I honestly think to be a public school parent who actually parents, it
takes effort.
It does. It takes a lot more effort to go above and beyond.
Well, there's that. And you don't have the freedom to do that. You're in a very restricted kind of thing because if you try to go to the school board and say anything, you get like 90 seconds or something.
Yeah.
And then if you go ahead and say something they don't like, they kind of like hurry you along.
Off.
They'll filibuster you and cut you off.
Yeah. It's a mess. It's really a mess. Actually, just today, I don't know if you heard one of the schools that closed here.
Okay.
They were getting to demolish it.
Sure.
They left a library full of books and the bookshelves. And they were like, anybody want to come here before 2:00? Come get it. Otherwise, we're demoing everything.
That is crazy.
Yes, it was insane. So like the homeschool community heard about that
And
here.
then, bam.
They swarmed and they did what they could. I don't know how far they made it, but at least,
Talk about a lack of foresight.
yeah. It's just they wouldn't put that out there to everyone beforehand.
No. That's just crazy talk.
It's like your tax dollars at work.
We're going to go ahead and rush a $400 million school bond and like push and push. But when we have to actually go and do the thing, we'll just go ahead and handle things at the last minute. Okay, sure.
And the only way I heard about it was from the homeschool community. Getting a hold of that and going, hey, you guys.
Yay, school system. So let's talk about some of the virtues of manhood that are really put out in terms of what a man should be in terms of the Bible. I think one of them is courage and strength. That's expected of men, across the society. We see that the opposite, like weakness and cowardice, are hugely shamed in our society, and rightfully so. If our core identity is being courageous and being strong, you would expect that the opposite would be shamed. Make sense so far? So we got discipline and self-control. I think that men, far more than women, are expected to have their emotions in check.
Yes.
And that when a
Absolutely.
guy is emotional, he's shamed by the community of men for the most part. And like, for good or for ill, I think that's important that guys get shamed for that kind of thing if they're outside of the norm.
Just look at a group of teenage boys just doing what they do.
Right. Now, for the snowflakes in the room, if something horrible has happened and like say your grandmother died or whatever, nobody's going to go ahead and give you shit for crying about the passing of somebody that you cared for deeply.
No.
What I'm talking about more is just like day-to-day crap getting you down and then like being a whiny fuss bucket about it. So next is honor and integrity. This is where we go ahead and say, be a man of your word, as a common saying.
Your word is your bond.
Your word is your bond. These are not things that we typically ascribe to women, right? It is typically something that is stereotypically put on men's shoulders to be.
A
And
woman has a right to change her mind.
at any time,
As
for any reason,
Often as she changes her shoes.
right?
That's it.
So humility and service is the idea of leading through sacrifice. And sometimes you need to be willing to give up for the sake of the betterment of others around you. And knowing the difference between being competent and being confident and knowing your place.
I think these are more macro gestures, like grander gestures, like wider things. Whereas in the women's sphere, it is more the little sacrifices every day.
So we go ahead and talk about mental load, where it's like, oh, well, it's little sacrifices every day, but they add up. And then a lot of women are complaining about that in the society, whereas the sacrifices that men make are assumed and taken for granted, generally speaking.
And I think that is where the disconnect happens.
Right. Because like, so say for example, protection. Yeah, you don't have to go ahead and beat off invaders, but when it does happen, it freaking counts that he does it. And if it ever happens, you know that if he doesn't live up to that, the relationship is crumbling. It's over.
But it's interesting how more often than not, even though the sacrifices are like on a larger scale, that's what you should be doing. Whereas women, when they do these little bitty things all the time, you don't appreciate me. I'm going to leave.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because you say appreciation. I think that appreciation is something that goes a long way for men because they don't often get that.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as, honey, I am so happy that you're home. Thank you for working so hard for us. Like just something simple like that would go ahead and take a man a week.
Yeah.
And just be like proud that he is seen and his work is respected by his family.
Tell me you don't get a little bit of the jollies when there's a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old running down the hall, Daddy!
Right, but that's a natural example of it. And it means one thing, but it means something different if your wife is giving it to you. Right? Because usually if she's giving you that, she's giving you other things. Yeah. All right. And then the last big set of virtues of manhood that are typically ascribed to men is faith and obedience. And that's the idea of being obedient to God's will rather than being obedient to like the whims of the flesh.
It's so interesting. It's like, there's nothing, men don't have to obey somebody.
Yeah, we have a boss. It's just a different boss.
Again, on a much bigger scale.
Yeah. Whereas, typically speaking, women in a patriarchal system, they go ahead and their man is their boss. But then in modern times, well, who's their boss? Well, it's not the man of the house. Can't have that. It's whatever.
I don't need no man. I'm a strong, independent woman.
Sure. And then, she's going to go ahead and obey at work. She's going to go ahead and show up on time.
Because across the board, chances are, if you climb the corporate ladder there enough rungs, you're going to find
a man at the top.
A man.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the virtues of manhood, and we'll go ahead and discuss real quickly the cornerstone responsibilities. So we said a work to do, a will to obey, and a woman to love. Another way to look at it is marriage, fatherhood, and community. So in marriage, hey, look, I understand that I'm under the gun to make sure that you are well taken care of and that I am willing to make sacrifices if needed to make sure that you have what you need. And that was much more obvious in earlier years of our marriage when things were tighter, whereas now we live in more of a time of plenty. And so the obvious visceral examples of that are fewer and far between. But you understand that if things had to happen, that I would. Mm-hmm. And that's just the reality of it.
It's instantly, and it's those leaner times and those ish hits the fan moments where you really see you test the mettle of a relationship.
Right.
Where if instantly something happened, I'm not going, well, I guess I got to go do something else to save everybody from everything, and just hair toss and like go scour the want ads. No, I go, what do you need? What do you want me to do?
Sure.
What can I do? Instantly, there is a falling in line.
Yeah. And I think that life goes a lot better for both sides that way because like I know that I'm willing to put myself on the line to make sure that things happen. And I know that I have your support.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for me to go ahead and say, I am willing to step up and do the things that I need to do because I know that when I get home, things are going to be all right.
In a 50-50 relationship, you have to fight. When stuff happens like that, you're going to have to fight the world and your spouse?
That's crazy.
No.
Yeah.
But, and also, if you have 3 kids, you have to fight 1.5 kids because it's 50-50, right?
No, that's not how that works. All right, let's talk about responsibilities to kids. So dudes have the responsibility to teach and discipline children. Pretty straightforward. Like we even see in our family where sometimes the kids don't listen to you. And I just go ahead and say 2 sentences and they figure themselves out. And like, I don't even have to go ahead and use the dad voice most of the time.
Oh.
It's just talking to them.
You sassing your mama?
Yeah, that's it. It's like, look, you don't need to be treating your mother that way. Mm-hmm. Get in line, figure it out, or we'll have to figure it out for you. And they figure it out pretty quick.
You won't like it.
It's just what it is, right? And
the earlier you can get a hold of that, the better.
Because then it becomes natural over time, even when you have like hormones kicking in.
Yeah.
So then the last major responsibility is to one's community. And I think this is something that happens as a man grows in breadth and responsibility. He is able to take on more burden and more responsibility in his community. And I think that this is one of the reasons why it's important for men to be strong is because we need strong men for our community. And why we as a people should reward that strength in men. If they're willing to go ahead and step up and bear the responsibilities, they should also get the honor and respect that comes with bearing those responsibilities well.
Not just, that's what you should be doing.
Right. It shouldn't be the just entitlement attitude that comes from it. Now,
or when somebody wants to, it gets to that point, that sort of threshold where they are in a position to assume more leadership and more responsibility in a community, you don't shame them for that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
So with all this in mind, here's some distortions to avoid. So being head of the household is not the same as authoritarian control. Just because you're the patriarch doesn't mean you don't listen to anything. If you have married somebody that has the wisdom that we see in Proverbs 31, she usually has something to say. And it doesn't mean that you should let her go ahead and walk all over you, but you should hear her out. And chances are she sees things slightly different than you, and there may be some benefit there. It doesn't mean there will always be benefit there, but there may be, and that's worth it enough to take the time when the time is available to hear her out.
But there's also the other side of the coin is if you have a woman worth listening to, she's going to voice her concerns or perspective in an appropriate way.
Yeah, because hopefully she's wise enough to know how the game is played.
You are not going to get a shameful nag.
Yeah.
Like,
And definitely
don't
not in
listen to
public.
that already, like, just absolutely not. But if you have somebody who can come correct, you know that you are in a properly apportioned relationship.
Sure. The second distortion to avoid is passivity. This is the difference between being an active leader and being a passive watcher of the things going on around you.
Like a boss versus a leader.
So I think that illustration is not particularly helpful for this case.
No.
What I'm getting at is that it is easy to rest on your laurels, and it is relatively difficult to go out and make something in the world, which is why the men that bear the responsibility that they do are rewarded for it, if not by the society writ large, but the inherent rewards that come from bearing that responsibility. And that the dudes that are just sitting, playing video games, having the Cheeto dust, and that's all they're doing, right? Not to say that video games are wrong. By all means, enjoy your entertainment. But if that's all you got going on, of course you're going to have problems. And then the last thing is worldly masculinity is something that is a balance, right? There is a difference between divine masculinity and worldly masculinity. And a lot of times it's, just go ahead and get what you can get when you can get it. And it's selfish in nature. Whereas I would advocate that though you look at yourself as your primary point of origin, your mental point of origin, that it is for a purpose that you do that. You develop yourself so that you can benefit and others around you benefit with you, rather than just get in the bag. And I think that selfish ambition is kind of something that really erodes a man's ability to lead in a lot of ways, because then it taints his motivations for doing things. Do you have anything to add to distortions of, if you were to go ahead and look at it sideways, how you can go ahead and make things look as bad as possible?
No, I'm not going to snowflake out right now.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we went ahead and discussed the Proverbs 31 woman and like a general vision for womanhood, and we went ahead and talked about the masculine side of the equation, now it's time for hamster wheel time. Okay. Hamster wheel time. So let's go ahead and define a term, polarity. So polarity refers to the natural tension and attraction created between opposing energies, traditionally described as masculine, which is direction, leadership, and structure, and feminine, receptivity, flow, and nature. So if you were to go ahead and look at this from magnets as an example, if you put the two north poles together, they repel. If you put the two south poles together, they repel. If you put a north and a south together, they love it. What? Uh-oh.
Who's that Pokemon?
Who's that Pokemon? What?
The one like pair that have the magnetism.
Oh, Plusle and Minun? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I mean, that was just Generation 3's attempt to recreate a Pikachu. Because every generation needs a Pikachu knockoff. But yeah, like the idea is that there are roles and responsibilities that we both bring to the table so that when we put them together, it is a complementary thing, right? And so the idea is we don't compete with one another. We complement each other for the benefit of the whole. So far, so good?
Yeah, I don't want to ever like delve into we're all the same. No, we're not.
Okay.
Stop it.
Blank slate equalism is not a thing that really exists.
I really dislike that.
Yeah. So the next piece is masculine energy offers stability, vision, and decisiveness, whereas feminine energy is about warmth, empathy, and adaptability. Together, it helps make a cohesive team. So far, so good?
It's one thing for, a building or whatever to be gorgeous and pretty and all of that and stylistic. But if it topples at the first storm, what's the point?
So let's see. Conflict reduction. If we are on the same page, but we know that what we're bringing to the table is good for the other person, chances are we're not going to fight about stuff as much. Pretty straightforward stuff. If I'm leading and you're following, we're going in a direction that we have agreed upon that our family should go in.
Yeah, there's definitely when the agreement comes from beforehand negotiation.
Right. We've come up with an agreement as a family of where we're going and how we intend to get there.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in a vacuum or the man is the head of the house, blah, blah, blah. It's like, then you don't really probably want to follow that man if they're just like, they can just go and be a lone wolf by themselves. Cool. But if you're going to be at least considered and all of this and you're on board with the overall vision, go for it.
Sure.
Captains and passengers.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that I was talking about it before about frame. And if you go ahead and like the boundaries and you respect the boundaries, it's easy to go ahead and operate within them. And it's really interesting how, like, there was a commenter on TikTok that was she's like a 23-year-old chick who was like, boundaries are control. It's like, no, if they're mutually agreed upon, then it is for the good of the relationship that there is a frame to protect both sides of the equation to know what's up.
Boundaries are control when there's only one person setting them.
Right. And there's no agreement to it.
Oh, everybody's like, oh, this man is trying to control you. But when she says, I want a man who's 6 foot and makes $1 million and all of that, she's setting her boundaries. She has standards. It doesn't make any sense.
Because with every seller, you need a buyer for a transaction to happen.
Oh, you can't talk about it as a transaction. It's not romantic.
Come on. We know it's a transaction. Let's see. So when we understand that polarity is a thing between us, it clarifies the roles that we bring to the table because we both bring something to the table. Neither of us are the table because we're not objects unless we want to be at a time for a specific purpose. And it reduces confusion, right? Because if we know what we're bringing,
right,
then I don't have to worry about you trying to go ahead and get the bag, and you don't have to worry about me trying to cook the meals. Like, we go ahead and bring what we bring to the table, and that's what it is. And I don't have to worry about, hey, what's going to happen here, because I know you've got it.
Yep. I'll stay home and make the sandwiches. And make sure the children don't kill each other.
And I think that it's interesting because it is fulfilling to have this polarity in a relationship.
Yeah, literally, if you want to call it 50-50 or whatever, it takes a ton of the pressure off.
Well, I wouldn't call it 50-50 because, like,
No,
the
it's
modern
not.
context brings something different to it. But I would say they're two pieces of the puzzle that fit together.
Yeah.
Because if they are locked in place properly, it's going to make a beautiful picture. But if there's too much overlap, one, they don't fit together, and two, they don't make the picture. And when you've got the natural polarity and you are accepting of this, then you're going to go ahead and be much happier to accept a good complementary relationship than you would be if you were forced into something you don't agree with.
It's like, what is the point? The world is cruel enough as it is. Life is hard enough as it is. Why would you link yourself with somebody that you're just doing just enough good stuff to keep them from being mad at you? Mm-hmm. Like, why would you sit there and even have any notion that they might turn on you?
So we talked a little bit about relationship harmony. So now let's talk about the physical aspect of polarity. So Chemistry is something that we often talk about, and it's generated when there are key differences between us, right? Not because we're the same. And this is where I think that people that believe in blank slate equalism really go ahead and jump the shark, is they cannot fathom that differences are a good thing. Whereas I would say that this is why naturally most people are not attracted to the same gender. It's just one of those things where it's anomalous. It is not the norm. And people will go ahead and get angry in the comments that are saying, oh, it's not normal. Well, it's not that it's not normal. It's that it is not the norm, right? If we saw 60% of the population doing it, then it would be something different. But right now it's 97.3 or something like that. Now, when polarity is strong, it is effortless to go ahead and have a great time together.
Look at the clubs.
What do you mean?
I mean, look at everybody, mingling, mixing, and all that stuff. And, meeting people and all that stuff, whether or not it goes all the way to the, happily ever after or not. It doesn't matter. You can see. It reminds me of Mean Girls when they do the mall at the jungle. They make the mall into the jungle.
Oh, okay.
A little animalistic, like.
Gotcha.
Just everybody doing what comes natural.
Sure. And the thing is, like, falling into the natural polarity goes ahead and not only provides you with that initial impetus to do things, but you can also mature down the road and have a long-lasting, satisfying relationship by going in on this polarity and doubling down on the things that make you different but interconnected. Now, the big deal is that there's different energy that we bring to this. Like, you are generally more receptive and I'm generally more assertive. I'll go ahead and lead the charge and make decisions and be decisive, whereas you are typically more reserved. And this is kind of like picking restaurants, right? Where if I go ahead and narrow down the choices from 100 restaurants in town to 2, you have a much easier time deciding between the 2. And if you decide not to make a decision, you understand that, hey, I'm going to make the decision.
Spin the wheel.
We're doing this, and you're not going to complain about it because you were offered the opportunity to make a decision.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when we go ahead and play to our strengths, we have a great time in and outside of the bedroom.
Like, in that thing, if, she gets mad at the restaurant you pick because she didn't want to pick, that is a red flag. I'm sorry. That's one of those things. File it under the same kind of vein as, oh, we just bicker, we fight, it's cute. We're just cute like that. It's not cute.
Yeah, and something that also happens is when you guys just move into the same energy, then you're going to repel each other, just like magnets.
Yeah.
And without that polarity, you end up like roommates, not like husband and wife.
That's where you get into trouble with the softer, like, golden retriever type husbands.
It reminds me of that video that we watched earlier where once he got squishy, out he went.
It.
That was it. Only she gets to be squishy. So some practical implications. So for men, I would say that doubling down on masculine energy is a good thing for you, and it'd be a great thing for her, because things like cultivating your purpose and having confidence and having strong presence builds attraction for you from her.
Him being squishy is good for Insta, but not for real life.
Right. Or there's like a time and a place for it. Whereas the general rule is be strong and masculine, and you can be kind of squishy a little bit of the time.
A little bit.
A little bit of the time. It's like as a treat, right?
Yeah.
Only if she's been good can you go ahead and give it to her as a treat.
Yeah.
But for women, I think that really it's about being open and receptive, and being soft and playful are things that she really brings to the table. And putting it out there is a great thing to inspire that connection.
Honestly, even if it's been a freaking day and I've been just fighting for my life all day, I come home and it's just like, hey, what's up? And I'm just like, I am overstimulated AF. I am not about it. Go take a shower, Go brush your hair. Go put in all your goopy goops all over your face. You know, all that stuff. Get comfy. And then, you know, just kind of lay down and see what happens. We just cuddle. And then it'll turn into more than cuddling.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where
sometimes that is how it goes.
Yeah, and being open to possibility, I think, is a huge deal. And I think that when men are not operating on their A game, it is more and more likely that that situation will come up and it'll go against his favor because he is not doing his part to make the things happen. Because part of the polarity bit is, hey, when she's leaning over in the kitchen, giving her a little open palm slap to the behind and like getting that hamster wheel going where even if she is tired, like the processes going on in the back of the mind are the thing.
You know, I've seen a couple of like those kind of videos where all of a sudden he doesn't. And she's like, it plays like the sad violin music in the background. I'm like, see? And it makes you think. If you sit there and go, oh my gosh, she's always, what if he didn't anymore? You'd be like, what'd I do wrong? What's happening? Is he cheating on me? Like
the hamster is going,
yes,
but not in the way you want it to go.
In the wrong direction.
Sure. And so as a dude, you want to go ahead and make sure that you are paying attention to what's going on and then getting that hamster to go in the right direction.
And the biggest thing is those times where it's like, we just lay down and stuff. You cannot be Pizza Hut. You cannot be Domino's and deliver in 30 minutes or less.
Dude, there are some women that would be dying for 30 minutes.
For 30 minutes, yeah. I know. But like, go get you some like advice and coaching from some other people, you know, in the whatever space where it's like, you can prolong this a little bit. You need to practice.
Sure. Or like get a good set of routines. Get some technique, man. Figure it out. Get to know the plumbing, you know? All right, so let's go ahead and land the plane.
Okay.
So the idea is that polarity is not about rigid gender roles. It's about we have an energetic exchange between each other, like magnets. Mm-hmm. So if we're on opposite ends of the poles, things work out really well for us. But if we try to be the same,
we repel each other.
We repel each other. And this is why it's important for dudes to lean in on things that make for a complementary relationship and to pick someone that is a proper complement to you, right? That's like at church, you don't often see basses getting with altos. Usually you see a bass with a soprano, and normally you see tenors with altos.
Especially going to church that did 4-part harmony all the time.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny when you think about it that way.
Sure. So go ahead and find a partner that matches your energy and is a proper complement to you, and you're going to have a much better time of it. And if she's not coachable, then you're going to have problems. And if you're not the kind of guy that you ought to be to earn that coachability, you're going to have problems.
It makes me think of when our oldest was born. Whatchamacallit? So before I had kids and I knew that this was actually a thing, the couple that were the wife was like a mom to me.
Okay.
It was like an alto and a bass got together. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what's happening here? Like, what is that? Then she told me, we were talking about something else unrelated. I waited. I bided my time. And she told me that she used to be a soprano before she had kids, but then her voice like range dropped a little bit since she had children. And I was like, there it is.
We figured it out.
There it is. It makes sense now.
All is right with the world. We figure it out that they actually did have that polarity
and
in that way.
And it did sadly kind of happen to me too.
No, you've got a beautiful singing voice.
I can still range it like in between the parts, but yeah.
You can hack it. You're good.
Some of she ain't what she used to be.
That's fine. Out of practice is part of it too.
I have 4 beautiful blessings out of it. I have no complaints.
You're doing just fine.
I can still hack it. It's fine.
But the bottom line is, hey, go ahead and major on your majors and make sure that you are the kind of guy that can earn the dignity and respect that you would expect from a quality woman. And if you're a woman and you want the amazing leadership of a strong man, then learn to fall in line. Pretty straightforward stuff. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Oh, just men should be able to be led so they can learn to lead. And women just need to learn how to get out of their own way and stop trying to lead and to learn how to like follow.
Yeah.
That's what society needs more than anything right now.
Is figuring out when to lead and when to follow.
The structure that works.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing is, there's plenty of structures that do work, and we would just encourage that people find that structure that works for you.
Yeah. When you pick somebody, they should never, ever in any scenario be your enemy. They should always be your ally.
You picked them as a teammate for a reason. Hopefully, you picked them intentionally. And hopefully it's not like a shotgun wedding kind of thing.
Yeah. I can't tell you the amount of biblical references when I was doing Bible study in a certain Bible. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm writing this to my son. And I gave that to him the day he was baptized, because it was interesting how much the verses were popping out to me where it's like, who you marry matters. Pick a good one.
Yeah. I would say that your choice of spouse is probably the most important decision as a man.
Homework assignment, go read the first 9 verses before the 10 through whatever 31 in Proverbs 31. It tells you, do not seek an inferior partner.
So there you go. There's the message. Don't seek inferior partners. Go ahead and seek somebody that is on your level, but complementary to you, so you fit together like a beautiful puzzle, so that you can see the picture for what it is, rather than being a jumbled mess.
We do have a pretty family portrait.
It's pretty nice.
I like it.
Cool. Have a fantastic day, gentlemen.